Case study: identifying when there's a gap between the promise of community in a co-living and the reality some spaces deliver. My good friend Joran had an unfortunate experience that we all have a lot to learn from. Joran went to a co-living that promised community, but upon arrival, he knew that the reality was different. I've personally experienced this quite a few times, and while there are telltale signs that broadcast when a space won't deliver on this promise, it is indeed hard to catch. Marketing content can be hard to properly interpret, especially from a potential resident's perspective. Here is Joran's story. I'm just coming back from a 6-month stay in Medellin, Colombia, residing in various co-living places for digital nomads over that period. And I need to say that all of them were disappointing, some more, some less. Sure, co-livings can vary greatly from one to another, depending on many factors like location, philosophy of the owner, personal budget, etc. Since I didn't really have any contact in Medellin by the time I got there, in the beginning of November last year, I was hoping to make some first connections and to get into the city vibe as quickly as possible. So, when I go to a co-living and pay somewhat more than a usual accommodation, what I am looking for and kind of expect is a community. And for a proper community, in my eyes, you need a on-site community manager. To my dismay, I had to realize time and time again that none of the co-livings, I think 5 or 6 in total over the time I was in Medellin, actually provided that. That resulted in those co-livings to be actually more like guest houses or Airbnbs, which simply had the term co-living painted on their facade. So when I changed to the next co-living and was chatting with the manager beforehand via WhatsApp to sort out my stay, I was again hopeful that this guy is actually going to be around. But no, turned out that he managed the whole thing online while he was in the US and his mom was actually doing the cleaning part of the premises, who kind of functioned as a community manager. Well, not really, honestly. I have to add here that there are co-livings that have community managers, those that cost you 3 to 4 times of what a Colombian person earns in a whole month just for the rent, which I was neither willing nor able to pay. I've seen a few of those admittingly pretty nice co-livings, but I could feel very quickly that those places have really nothing to do anymore with the reality of the city. What do I take away from that? I definitely realized what I value and what I'm looking for when I'm going to stay in a co-living again, or when I will create my own co-living project one day. And apparently, the Colombian definition of a co-living deviates from how I would define it. That was Joran's story. And this course on co-living community facilitation ultimately aims to reduce the likelihood of this from being an issue. A co-living space should have their CF front and center. They should highlight the community leader, because without a community, there is no co-living. And without a community leader, the community will fall apart over time. Sure, sometimes residents take up the mantle and fulfill the responsibilities of a CF, but that isn't ideal. Maybe they're not being compensated, or maybe they're busy with other stuff. As a CF, you should be proud of what you do. Being a community leader can bring immense intrinsic satisfaction, and it is not easy. As a CF in a co-living, you should have a small bio somewhere on the booking page for the co-living space. The best co-livings will understand this and have a section specifically for their CFs. Something like Meet Your CF, with a link to their socials. That way, a potential resident can actually see who their community facilitator will be.